Yo, how's it going everybody? It's DJ Sketch and welcome back to the channel. So today we're looking at the new Battletoads for the Xbox One, and already some people are probably going to say, wait, what? There's a new Battletoads game? And the answer is yes. After 26 years, the Battletoads are back. Developed by Rare and Delilah Studios. I really wish I could say this was a grand return, because this Off the Muscle was not quite the game I was hoping it'd be. And also a lot of things just did not gel for me. This is going to be a no for me, dog. But before diving into all that, let's get ourselves up to speed with the story here. 26 years after the Battletoads come to realize they've been locked in a bunker, living in a simulation where they were still relevant, the Toads go on a quest to regain their notoriety. In a plethora of ideas and sometimes even side jobs, they seek out the Dark Queen, who has also had her power stripped away, to reignite their former glory. And once teaming up, they both set out to stop the baddest foes in the galaxy, the Topians. That's the game's story in a nutshell, basically, and really from here, depending on your perspective, this is going to go one way or the other. Gameplay-wise, this is a mishmash of stuff and ideas. Anyone familiar with the Battletoads of old probably remember these games being ball-bustingly difficult. The only few have probably ever completed. I've only beaten 2 of the Battletoads games ever, one being the Double Dragon crossover, and the second being the arcade game from 1994, which until now was the last entry in the franchise. That being said, this new game takes parts of all those old games and adds in a ton of mini games and quick time event segments, which fragment the gameplay more than any of the other entries did. While some of the other games did revolve around beat 'em up segments, the sheer quantity of mini games by comparison is a little bit out of control. The beat 'em up conventions are all here mostly. You have combos, guard breaks, and the lot, but literally more than half the game is a mini game of some sort, which in a way declassifies this game as being solely a beat 'em up. There's platforming segments, which should also again be familiar to anyone who's played these games in the past, but the difference is those segments didn't drastically slow down the gameplay to the point of double checking, am I still playing the same game? The platforming segments feel like Donkey Kong Country as far as how everything controls, but again, this draws back to the point. I thought I was playing fucking Battletoads. Not to harp on the past, but the older games also vary the style of play a lot, and even the arcade game has a shoot 'em up level at the end, and of course there's the infamous Turbo Tunnel, which does return in this entry, but overall they're just too many mini games, most of which, while functional, just weren't that fun to play. In a lot of cases, extremely repetitive. For example, the hacking segments where you have to bend the circuits to send a current from point A to point B. Doing this once, sure. Maybe twice, alright. You know, it's even so that's a bit much, but much like other segments, there's points where they like double and sometimes triple down on them, and it gets pretty old pretty quick. Granted, the boss fights pretty much were probably the best parts of this game, and there were a couple of really cool ones, and also a couple of them are callbacks to the arcade game, but again, those moments come and go real quick. Graphics wise, it doesn't look too bad either, but even though I'm not a fan of the art style, it reminds me a lot of when Nickelodeon got the TMNT license and then drastically changed the look, which is about what you're seeing here. This also looks a lot like Teen Titans Go, or even like Phineas and Ferb, just for a point of reference. There's a few things you can interact with throughout the game and the environments, and you can kind of go back and forth between level planes too, whether you like swing across on your tongue. But again, the cohesion from section to section just isn't there sometimes. And the Toads supporting characters tend to look kind of terrible with the change, in my opinion. But at the same time, like that's going to be up to perspective. Like, some people might dig this style and some people won't. But also, I will address this though, the Dark Queen's new design, it's not great. It's honestly not great, especially compared to the original. It's just not that great. And the style overall just doesn't have that edge that the past Battletoads iterations did. Hell, even when Rash came to Killer Instinct for a hot minute there, and like the model of that character was thought to be a sneak peek of what the final version was going to look like, but shit, that would be the wrong assumption, because it's nothing like it. And again, the graphics are a bit of a mixed bag, but at the same time, like, where they really shines is pretty much the stage design itself. Like, those are all pretty well drawn and everything has a lot of detail. And also the 10th wall warp on the Turbo Tunnel remake level, that's a nice touch. I like that. It's a nice little fake out, I'll give you that. So they did their homework at least. Sound wise, this is a pretty big one, because the dialogue here, while being self-aware and oftentimes self-deprecating, which can be comical, but also majority of the times the jokes just don't land. The rumor is with this one there are a couple of Rick and Morty writers involved, but this must have been the B team for this outing, is the Topians really have some of the more amusing dialogue throughout the game's 3.5 hours. So the humor is either going to make you laugh or it's going to make you cringe. It really depends on what each person that plays this finds funny. And in-game sounds are fairly standard, with even some revamped versions of old Battletoads tracks, like the Turbo Tunnel theme has been redone. And you've got a couple remixes from Battle Maniacs in there, which is also a nice addition to the originals that are featured as well. Overall, Battletoads has some decent ideas, and at times the gameplay, when it's not overly repetitive minigames, can be fun. However, the writing, even with the jokes that do land, may put some off. The original Battletoads wasn't a perfect game either, and the balance was wildly off even back then. This entry may be a polarizing one for the franchise, but for things I personally don't like, maybe somebody else might. If you have kids and want to school them on retro franchises, this could be a good place to start, because this was significantly easier than past entries as well. And also, where was Professor T-Bird at? Not even a mention? Not one? And as far as character designs, some won't be bothered by it, others might, because I mean, this is just, I don't know, this is one of those games that just came off as mediocre to me, but that's just my opinion. Not saying that others can't see the good in this game, but I just personally didn't. And for that, Battletoads gets a 5 out of 10, and I only recommend this if you're a die-hard Battletoads fan or a subscriber to Game Pass on Xbox, since it's significantly cheaper. I mean, you can basically play it for $1 if you're on Game Pass, because otherwise I'd say there's better things to spend 20 bucks on, because this just ain't it. If you found this video helpful, that's awesome. I'm glad you can use this as a resource. Check back often. We'll have some more stuff coming up in the future. Aside from all that, hope everybody's staying safe out there and doing okay, and I'll see you on the next one. Take it easy.